Hi all, welcome to part 26 module 2 computer networks. So we were discussing this IEEE 802.3 Ethernet standard. We started with some basics of it and its history, and also we covered the physical layer and particularly with a focus on the repeaters, the physical layer device. Now we move on to the MAC sublayer of the classic Ethernet protocol. And you can see like this, the MAC sublayer frame format of Ethernet is given here, and here you can see two formats. The first is this figure A is for Ethernet under DIC standard, and which is I hope you remember the one that is put forward in the year 1978, I think. And after say 5 years we have this DIC standard is standardized by IEEE 802.3, and its frame format is given as this. So the what are all the difference you can see. So the preamble is the first 8, so all those things are in bytes. Okay, so the frame is starting with a preamble, which is a sequence of 8 bytes, and the same preamble is maintained here, but the last byte of the preamble they is particularly called as SOF, means start of frame delimiter. Okay, so that's all. It's the same concept, but the last one is specifically called as start of frame delimiter. Then destination address is there, followed by source address. Why destination address is coming first? Because whenever a frame is coming, this preamble is going to help for the synchronization part. So once the destination machine synchronized with the start of a new frame, immediately it will be reading, it's checking whether it is something destined for him or not. So by looking at the destination address, it can compare whether it is me, the actual recipient of the frame, or not. If that is the case, then it will accept, otherwise it may reject. Now it may have, means it will not accept. It's a kind of broadcasting is happening in the local area network, right? So source address, to identify the source from which the frame is coming. Then the next 2 bytes, see this, the preamble is 8 byte field, destination address 6 bytes, source address again 6 byte, and 6 byte is nothing but 48-bit address will be, the MAC address will be there. Then type is another 2 byte field, 16-bit field, and this 2 byte is known to be type in the DIC standard, and when it comes to 802.3, IEEE 802.3, so that is changed to length. But so here some conflicts were there, and we will see how that is solved. And data is having some restricted size of 1500, I mean 0 to 1500 byte, the actual information to be communicated in both. And there is a minimum size for data, so that is actually 46 byte. So 0 to 46 byte, if data is not present, then padding will be done. If the actual data is of some 20 byte or something, then you have to make it a minimum size of 46 byte. For that, the remaining field will be zero padded. So we will see why this zero padding is needed, why we need that minimum frame length. Then the last 4 byte or 32 bit is the checksum field in both the standard frame format. Then what is this checksum? This is a CRC reminder, right? Because in data link layer, particularly Ethernet, we are using the cyclic redundancy check as the checksum for which is for the purpose of error detection. In classic Ethernet frame format, so first it started with the preamble of 8 byte, is what we see. Each byte contains 8-bit pattern. So these 8 bytes were looking like 10101010. Again another repetition of the same pattern. So like that continuously some 7 byte will be there. And now what about the 8th byte, the last byte? So that is having an exception, and it is like this. For the last byte, it looks like a 101010, and the last 2 bits, instead of 10, it is changed to 11. Okay, so it will be 11. So this 10101011. So this is how the last single byte is looking, and the remaining were just a repetition of the pattern 10101010, again 101010, like that it is going, and with this particular pattern. And this last 2 ones indicating that the actual frame header, that means the destination address onwards is beginning, just beginning. So the last byte is specially called start of frame delimiter, that SOF, what we seen in the frame format in 802.3. And if you look at this 8 byte, just like the frame itself, this pattern is also Manchester encoded, and when you do this Manchester encoding for this special pattern, it produces a 10 megahertz square wave for 6.4 microsecond. So this is the timing information. When you generate the equivalent Manchester encoding for this particular pattern, you will be getting a 10 megahertz square wave with a 6.4 microsecond duration, and this will allow the receiver's clock to synchronize with the sender. Now the last two 1 bits, it is ending with the 2 ones, tell the receiver that the rest of the frame is about to start. Then what about the address field? So next come to 2 addresses, one for the destination and one for the source, and both are 6 byte in long. The 6 byte nothing but 48 bit. So we have a 48 bit Ethernet address, MAC address. The first transmitted bit of the destination address, if you look at the first bit of the address out of the 48 bit, if the first bit is 0, so that indicates an ordinary address, the unicasting kind of address. If it is starting with 1, that is for a group address. Now group addresses allow multiple stations to listen to a single address. When a frame is sent to a group address, all the stations in the group receive it. Multicast group, that concept means many people will be identified by a unique address called a group address, and group addresses are normally starting with 1. So first it's explaining about the group address. So if it is some information is being delivered to a group address, then definitely all the members of the group will be receiving it. So multiple stations are where there as a recipient. Then this is technically called multicasting. So when it is an ordinary address and you are delivering to a single machine, we call it as unicasting. And there is one more variation of this called broadcasting. Broadcasting means to everyone in the local area network you are delivering, but multicasting means to a subset of machines, that is to a multicast group we are delivering the information. So 3 types of communication you can see: unicasting, multicasting and broadcasting. Unicasting means one-to-one communication. Broadcasting means purely one-to-many, means everyone in the particular local area network you are communicating, and multicast means you are communicating to a subset of the machines. Okay, that is identified by the multicast group address. So a special address with all one bits, means all the 48 bits are 1, that is indicating broadcasting. Means you are not particularly pointing to a given machine, you are just trying to pass some information to everyone in that particular network. So multicasting is more selective in the sense, so we have this group management to define which are all the stations that are part of the groups, that should be defined properly, and the group will be given a common address, and with that address it will be delivered to everyone. So broadcasting does not differentiate the stations at all, whether a station is part of the multicast group or not, nothing is there. So it does not require any group management at all. An interesting feature of station source address is that about destination address. So if you are looking at source address, it is found to be globally unique, assigned centrally by IEEE. So this 48-bit address is found to be globally unique. Actually, we don't have such a global uniqueness, that is not required. I mean, once you reach the local area network, that time only you want this 48-bit to be unique. But even though that is the case, the MAC address is maintained to be globally unique. And how it is managed? The idea is that any station uniquely address any other station using the 48-bit number. Out of the 48, the first 3 byte means 24 bits, right? The half of the address is actually the organization unique identifier. So that is a unique identifier of the organization who is behind this address. This address is permanently hardwired in the network interface card with which you are communicating with the network. So there will be an NIC, right? So using the network interface card, you are getting connection to the internet. That concept you know. And in that network interface card, this address is permanently wired as your source address, and hard coded. It is hard coded, and it's not like IP address which is soft coded. This is hard coded. And out of that 48 bits, the first 3 byte is up to the manufacturer, the organization who is manufacturing the network interface card. He will be contacting IEEE, and this IEEE is assigning him a unique identifier. So the values of this 3 byte, the first 3 byte is assigned by IEEE, and it indicates a given manufacturer, the organization unique identifier. Now what about the remaining, the last 3 byte? So what will happen is, once an organization contacted IEEE for the manufacturing purpose, the organization will be given a unique 3 byte address, followed by 2 power, a block of 2 power 24 valid addresses will be assigned to the organization. Now 2 power 24 addresses, out of them one address will be given for one network interface card, and you know, out of 2 power 24 to identify each address will be of 24 bits, right? So those 24 bits make the least significant 3 byte. This 3 byte or 24 bits makes the most significant 3 byte. So together it will form the 6 byte or 48 bit address, MAC address, right? So that about the manufacturer assigns the last 3 byte, that is nothing but 2 per 24 addresses were given to the manufacturer, right? Out of them one address will be given to that particular NIC, and the entire thing will be programmed completely into the network interface card before it is solved. So that about the address, hope it is clear, and the preamble field. Now the next field is the type or the length field, and in DIC standard we are using it as type field, where in IEEE 802.3 it is changed to length field. Okay, purely by Ethernet, here it means DIC's Ethernet, and in 802.3 it is length field. So that tell the receiver to do what to do with the frame. So if it is particularly type, what type of information we are having in the frame. So that is what is said by type field. What type of information, in the sense the network layer, to which network layer this particular frame is supposed to hand over. Why it is so? Because multiple network layer protocols may be in use at the same time on the same machine. So you know, right now we are in the data link layer, physical data link layer, and over a data link layer we have the network layer. There may be more than one network layer, and in a particular machine more than one network layer may be running. Then this Ethernet frame will clearly say to the operating system, like out of this more than one network layer which is to be used, this particular frame is meant for what network layer. So when the Ethernet frame arrives, the operating system has to know to which network layer, particularly to which network layer protocol this particular frame is to be handed over. So the type field specifies that particular process to which the frame can be handed over. For example, if type code is saying like hexadecimal 0800, so 0800 is particularly for IPv4 packets. So even though some other types of network layer protocol is running in that machine, this particular frame is for IPv4, please hand over to that. So that is the meaning of 0800. Similarly, we can define different numbering for different network layer standards. Now when it comes to 802.3, what happened is in their wisdom, they decided that this field would carry the length of the frame, that was determined by looking inside the data. So by looking at the data that is carried in the particular frame, they determine the length of that frame, and that length information is carried as the that length will be stored in that 2 byte field instead of type, length of that particular frame. Okay, so that will why it is useful. We have a special start and start of frame delimiter, of course, but this length field again will help us for the synchronization part if anything happens to the frame delimiter pad, but by looking at the length field, the receiver can correctly read at the end of frame till it reaches the end. So once the receiver is getting the preamble end with the start of frame delimiter, it will understand the beginning of the frame. Now how long the reading is to be done. One way is the next frame will be started with the means another preamble field, right? Or the same pattern you can use as the end of the frame delimiter, but instead of in 802.3 they are using the length field. So by looking at the length field, the receiver can run some kind of counter, and it can, if the length field is saying like 100, that means this particular frame is containing 100 byte of information. Accordingly, it can read the data area. So thus there was no way for the receiver to figure out what to do with an incoming frame. So you should not be confused at this point. What we seen already and what we are discussing is the frame header only, and similarly we have a trailer also. In that trailer we can have a end delimiter pattern, or this length field can help us to identify or locate the end of the frame. So there was no way for the receiver to figure out what to do with an incoming frame, because the type field is now replaced with the length field, right? So how the receiver will tackle that type related information, because that is also to be communicated. So in that case we can depend the next layer. Actually, data link layer is divided into this media access control sublayer, and that is what we are studying. And above this media access control sublayer we have the logical link control. So we can depend on the logical link control sublayer, that is above the media access control sublayer, for handling or for informing the receiver about the type of the data. So that problem is handled by the addition of another header for the logical link control. So for LLC, it is having something to be communicated to the receiver. In addition to that, we can make use of some extra field for saying the type. So normally we use some 8 byte, and out of that 8 byte, the 2 bytes of the protocol type information. I mean, this logical link control header is of totally 8 byte, and out of that 8 byte, 2 bytes are saying what kind of frame it is. What kind in the sense to what network layer protocol it is to be delivered particularly. Now, when means in 1978 during DIC standard, they started thinking of using the 2 byte as type field. Then when it is standardized to 802.3, they decided to change it to length. So naturally there will be a confusion, right? Because this 802.3 standardization happened in 1983, and that time what existing was the DIC standard. So when you are replacing, that kind of a change, how it is going to manage that conflict. So the issue is like this. Unfortunately, by the time 802.3 was published, so much hardware and software for DICS Ethernet was already in use. So already this DICS was in use. That few manufacturers and the users were enthusiastic about the repackaging of the type and length field. So they were enthusiastic, like when it is changed to length field, how things will working, because everybody is so far everyone is depending on the means DIC standard. When it is changed to 802.3, so how the differences can be handled. So what happened is during 1977, getting a call. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so that kind of a confusion was there among people whether to use when this type is suddenly changed to length, how things will work like that. So during 1997, I mean in 83 that standard came. 97 IEEE threw in the towel and said that both were fine. So you can use anything as you wish. So like that they come up with a conclusion. So both were fine in the sense in the same field you can make use of storing either the type information or the length information. Why they were able to come with such a conclusion is because of this statement, that is fortunately all the type field that used before this 1997 were values greater than 1500. So what is this 1500? Typical length of an Ethernet packet, right? So if you want to store the length information, it will be a value less than 1500. Not only that, if you count that header field also, 1500 plus some 18 byte of header and another 18 byte of trailer. So like that it will be totally 1536. So this is the maximum value that you can expect as the length field. But what about the type field? So far whatever type field they were used, they were values greater than this 1536. So the same field you can make use of storing both. So now the conclusion is like, if the 2 byte field that can represent both type and length, as you decide, if it is a value that is less than hexadecimal 6000. So if you convert this 600 into decimal, it will be a value, it corresponds to 1536. And now we are getting 1536, the typical length of an Ethernet frame plus header and the trailer together, that is 6 byte additionally. So that can be interpreted as length if it is a value less than this. Now if it is a value greater than 1536 or hexadecimal 600, it can be interpreted as the type field. So both are fine now. So now IEEE can maintain that everyone is using its standard and everybody else can keep on going what they were already doing, not bothering on logical link control. So now there is no burden that remains on LLC without feeling guilty about it. So we can either use it for type or length field. So that about it. Thank you.